everyone, this is Maree from Beauty in Seoul, and today I'm joined by my friend and Korean American celebrity chef.
Hello everyone, I'm Judy Joo.
Today we thought that we would try our hands at mukbang.
This is just a little snack, kind of slash lunch. We just have some ramen noodles. This is shinramyeon. And, usually you don't sit down to a Korean table without some kind of soup being on the table. And we also have some kimbap, which is Korea's version of sushi, but everything is cooked inside, and these are just rice rolls. Cheese, carrot, cucumber, damuji, which is a pickled radish, and some tofu. And then we also have some banchan. I have my homemade kimchi, which I have been fermenting for a while now, and it is really strong.
Yeah,
Proper stuff. Yeah, it's good. And some odeng, which is fish cakes that's been stir fried with some chilies, and also just some kim, which is some salted roasted seaweed. And then just for some snacks, we have tteokbokki snacks, which are interesting. They're not my favorite, but they're kind of fun. And also pepperol, which is just like the little cracker sticks that's been dipped in chocolate.
Little dessert.
Yes, little dessert. And we have milkis, which is a soda, a Korean soda that's basically milk and sparkling soda mixed together.
It sounds so strange.
It sounds strange, but I grew up
good.
kind of drinking this on and off. And I do have a recipe in my new cookbook where I use milkis. Is it granita? Did I make it milkis granita? I can't remember.
Ooh.
I think milkis granita or milkis patafui. I can't remember. I don't remember. And then makgeolli, which is a fermented Korean rice wine. So good.
I love makgeolli.
Milky.
And it's raining outside.
It is raining outside. Well, it's London. It's always raining here, so it's not great weather. And since you're younger than me,
I need a pour.
You need a pour. Exactly.
So is the tradition.
Yes, 2 hands as she's doing. There you go.
Manner hands.
Exactly. And I will pour for you.
Yeah.
But I can use 1 hand since I am older. You gotta show me respect, girl. So with the 2 hands, that's good. And then, exactly. Cheers.
Cheers. And then I should look away.
Mm-hmm. She has to look away again to show me respect. This is the way you drink in Korea.
I feel like Jude's taking advantage of
I know,
this.
exactly. Anyway, we did get a few questions.
Yeah,
right?
we had, I mean, some of them I didn't really think about to answer. But one of the first questions was, well, there was 2 that were kind of related. So what did I do before Beauty in Seoul? What did you do to become a chef? Mm-hmm. Or have you always wanted to be a chef? Mm-hmm. And what that journey was like. So last night I was actually mentoring a group of high school students, and it was just so interesting speaking to them because they were like, well, I'm going to be a doctor and I've decided the subjects that I need to take. And I think about the pressure that you feel when you're 17 years old trying to map out your career. Yeah. It's like it never works out as
it's true. So I'm a classic example of that. I had a very traditional tiger parent upbringing, if you're familiar with that term. So tiger parenting is a term that was coined actually by the Yale University professor Amy Chua, who's a Chinese American, who's a professor at Yale, and she wrote a very famous book called The Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother.
Oh, I need to read this.
This is basically how Asian American parents, or Asian parents in general, just push their kids to extreme lengths to do well in school and play instruments, etc. So I was one of them. I had 3 piano lessons a week, I think.
Oh my god!
And being a chef wasn't necessarily my parents' plan for me, my father was a doctor, my mom was a chemist, and so science was really running through our veins. And so I went to engineering school at Columbia.
Okay.
And I was supposed to be a doctor. I instead went into finance, and so I was trading fixed income derivatives at Morgan Stanley for a really long time, sales trading, right? And then I decided it wasn't for me, and I quit. And I enrolled in cooking school in New York at the French Culinary Institute, now known as the International Culinary Center, where I got my Grand Diplôme in Patisserie Arts, and I never looked back. And now I'm chef, restaurateur, write cookbooks, shows,
Cookbooks are amazing. I have both of them.
Yeah. My latest one just came out in October.
Yeah.
Judy Joo's Korean soul food.
But it's like fusion as well, which
a lot
I
of
love.
fusion. I mean, I often describe myself as a French-trained Korean-American Londoner. So, yeah.
Third culture kids.
Exactly. I'm a global citizen, and I really feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm, it's interesting being born abroad when you're, a minority, because you look like a foreigner in the West. But then when you go back home to Korea, you feel like a foreigner.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of caught in between worlds.
Two cultures. Yeah. I feel that as well. Because like it's so difficult to answer where I'm from. And I've like practiced it now.
Oh, have you?
I'm adopted from Korea, but my mum is English, my dad is Dutch. I grew up in Australia, Holland, and the UK.
Say that again slowly. You're adopted from Korea.
I'm adopted from South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
My mother is English, my father is Dutch.
Wow.
But I grew up in Australia, Japan, Holland, and the UK.
Japan, Holland, and the UK.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where do you consider home? And I mean by the definition of home is not necessarily where you live, but where you feel like you belong.
I think probably UK now.
Yeah.
Which is strange, but I always now identify myself as Korean British because I just feel like it's easy to say that because then because inevitably I always get asked, oh, but like, where are you originally from? Mm-hmm. And so for me, I just find it easier to just like nip that in the bud and be like, I'm Korean British. That seemed to satisfy a lot of people's curiosity.
Yeah.
But talking about books, there was a book that I was recommended called Third Culture Kids, and apparently it addresses those kind of like issues with identity with people that have grown up all over, basically consider themselves a world citizen, and where you kind of identify, like you said, home. It doesn't necessarily mean where you live physically. It can also mean like what country do you have the affinity towards, or
exactly.
So, it's interesting. I mean, you talked about tiger parents.
Yeah. Did you have the same?
I didn't really, but when you were kind of like on the path to a financial career, and then you decided to study culinary arts. So what did your parents think of that then? Like, how did that go down? Because obviously that's probably wasn't part of their plan.
Oh no. They weren't 100% supportive at first, That's also a cultural thing. Because being a chef isn't necessarily a high status job in Korea at all, and and my father's a North Korean war refugee, and so he worked ridiculously hard, and my mom worked ridiculously hard. Both of them were working to put me and my sister through these Ivy League schools, and which are not cheap, and so they were like, okay, what are you doing with your education that we literally blood, sweat, and tears to put you through school and all this stuff? And I always had a job on campus also, so. Oh, right, okay. Oh, yeah, definitely. So I was always working also to kind of like make ends meet, etc. But they didn't necessarily why do we pay all this money for you to go to this school for you just to become a chef, And but at the same time, I was kind of like, you know what? It's my life. Yeah. I'm not living under your roof. Yeah. I'm paying all my own bills. You don't really have a right to say what I do in my life. And so I just went for it. And and never looked back. I never thought it would turn into this, honestly. I never thought in a million years that I would be, have my own show and have cookbooks and be filming with these amazing people and traveling all over the world, cooking all over the world. But just shows that you can never really plan life. Yeah, and, 100%. Yeah, and you can reinvent yourself. And I know so many people, like you're saying, who are 17 years old, 18 years old, saying this is what I want to be when I grow up. But actually, when you're at that age, you have no idea what else the world has in store for you. Yeah, I mean, there's jobs now as well that I didn't even know existed when I was 17 and when I chose subjects. I mean, I didn't have tiger parents, but my parents certainly wanted me to excel at school. But then when I think back to when I was 17, I mean, I took biology, chemistry, maths and physics, Spanish and English, and I didn't know whether or not I wanted to be a doctor. My dad definitely pushed me into doing kind of a science degree,
and I studied biomedical science because I didn't know whether or not I wanted to go into medicine or go into like lab research. I realized after 4 years I didn't want to do either. So I was like, okay, great. Like, and in my mind I was like, I've wasted 4 years studying the wrong degree. And then looking back, I'm like, yeah, but I got a very good like degree.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter because I got that Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Science, and yeah, it's funny how you just feel like speaking to these kids, they just thought that like their life had to be so mapped out, and I said like I've changed careers so many times. I mean, I then did my master's in business. I got onto a graduate scheme for a data analytics company. Then I took a career break, so to speak. Like I quit my job, and then my parents were like, "You're taking a gap year at 27." like that didn't go down well. But for me, I wanted to take that gap year, go to South Korea, try and find my birth parents.
Oh yeah.
And that's more important. Like at the time, I was adamant that was more important than anything I was doing in my career. I had to do that for myself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they kind of came around to it. I think they were, and I kind of backed myself that when I came back, I'd be able to find a job, which I did. But my message to these girls was, you know, your career is probably going to change so many times. Like, I then went into football and now own a beauty business.
Yeah.
You know,
okay, so tell me how Beauty in Seoul and how your beauty business came about.
Yeah, so for me, I took that year and I was in Korea and I was trying to find my birth parents, and then my adoption agency said, I think we found your birth mother, but she doesn't want to meet you.
So heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I was like, great, so I've given up my career, I'm on the other side of the world, I don't speak Korean. Like,
gosh, that must have been quite...
What do I do? Yeah.
Quite devastating emotionally.
Yeah, I mean like I was a mess.
Yeah, I can't...
Like, you know, that's plain and simple. Like, I stayed in bed, I was crying, and I remember saying to Steve, like, actually, I need to get something out of this year here.
Yeah.
Like, I can't leave and be like, all I did was stay in bed and, like, feel sorry for myself and had a pity party. Like, I can't do that. And for me then, I started Beauty in Seoul Instagram and blog. So I just started writing about what I got up to in Korea. And it was mainly so that friends and family could see what we were up to in Korea. I talked about the restaurants I went to, or like all the K-beauty that I shopped. Wow. And it was that kind of led to a passion. And I remember like my husband Steve said, God, if only you could make money for all of the products that you just like want to try and hoard. And then, you know, we began thinking about it. And for the remainder of the year there, we started approaching brands and writing a business plan. And that business plan for me became a distraction. So when I came back to the UK, that's when I started Beauty in Seoul. I came back in January, we launched in April, and that was 3 years ago in April. So for me, and one of the questions I got asked yesterday was like, well, do you have any regrets because you've changed career and you know, things like that? And I'm like, I don't think you can have regrets because I am where I am now and I'm happy. So if I hadn't have gone on the career break, I potentially would have been stuck in a role that I didn't like.
Yeah.
If I had found my birth mother, I wouldn't have started the blog.
Yeah.
And like, it sounds so cheesy to be like, everything happens for,
but it's true.
But it's so true.
I actually kind of believe that because, you know, people always say sometimes, oh, you know, you're lucky, you know. But I think that actually in life, you make your own luck, you know. Kimchi, what do you think? Kimchi.
Oh my god.
It's strong.
That's exactly how I like my kimchi.
It's like from Korea kimchi.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of the kimchi in Myeongdong Gyoza. Really strong. Like, oh, it's so good.
So good for you. That's going to clean out your guts.
And
then when you make it yourself, there is no preservatives, there are no food colorings, there are no additives, there's no MSG, and it's really full of all the good probiotics that you want that kind of cleans up your gut and it makes it a superfood.
How long does it take you to make it?
So I made this not a week. Oh, I made it last Monday. So it's been fermenting and sitting around for about a week and a few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a young
10 days. Yeah, it's a young kimchi, but it still tastes well. It was too cold. I had it outside on my porch for a while, and it was too cold, and I was like, I gotta bring this in.
Because that's be a certain temperature to ferment.
Well, yeah, the warmer it is, the faster it's going to ferment. So I did have it room
okay.
temperature for 1 or 2 days. But I had the heating on, so I was like, it's gonna like turn sour. So I was a bit nervous. But so then I took it outside, but then it was too cold, so I brought it back in and turned off the heating and everything. And so yeah. But I also didn't want my entire apartment to smell like kimchi.
The first day I came in today, and she was like,
"Does this smell like kimchi?"
And I was like, no. Why?
But anyway, going back to everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I think it kind of does, and
it's so true about like you make your own life. I definitely believe that.
You know, because my personal story is that like I was kind of working as a chef. I was doing things part-time, but it really took my marriage to fall apart for a fire to be lit under my ass, and for me to say, okay, I really have to do something with this cooking hobby. And that's when I went for it, and I really started working and doing everything and you know, kind of going after things. And, I think
that's a thing, like when people say, oh, you're so lucky, and you know, in terms of you saying that you make your own luck, like obviously it's so easy to share, like today I'm filming this, or like I was so lucky to receive this and things like that. But literally when I say blood, sweat and tears has gone into it, you know, it's very easy to kind of brush over the kind of sacrifices that you make to kind of get to where you are.
Absolutely. And the rejection.
All the
failure, all the rejection. I mean, it took me 3 years of just solid rejection before I got Korean Food Made Simple on air. Because everybody was saying, no, it's too small, it's too niche, it's too esoteric. You know, no, everyone. And then finally I got it on air. Not only that, I had 2 seasons of it, you know, which is great. And, you know, and then 2 cookbooks and, you know, but it's been a lot of rejection. I have more stories of failure, and just doors being closed, etc. than I do of
picking yourself up and going again.
It's true.
Picking yourself up, going again.
Exactly, especially as minority females, you know, you really do have to have a formidable spirit, and just go for it. And you know what? People are going to say no. People are going to say no 1,000 times. You're going to get rejected, but you just have to be able to pick yourself back up and try again.
And you'll be stronger for it as well.
Yeah, and I'm still making mistakes.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I'm still making mistakes, and you know, I don't feel like I've been qualified for any single role that I've ever taken, any single job I've ever taken. I feel like I've always been underqualified, but you rise to the occasion, you learn from it on the job, and you just get it done.
So let's talk about that then, because like it's every talk that I've been to about kind of gender equality, especially in the workplace, is always kind of linked as well to imposter syndrome. Like
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that feeling of I don't know if you've read the book by Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook, called Lean In.
I didn't read it, but I know obviously about it.
Yeah, and like there was some interesting studies in there. So one of them said that basically when a male candidate goes for a job, he just needs to see 3 things that he thinks he can do to apply. Whereas when a female candidate looks at a job description, and if there's like 10 tasks or 10, you know, prerequisites that you need to have, if there's one that she feels that she's not very confident in, she probably won't apply to the role.
Wow.
And that kind of sense of I can't do it, or when you go into a job, like I'm faking it, like how have they not discovered that I don't know actually what I'm doing? And that's kind of where the term imposter syndrome came from. And I'm not saying this is necessarily something that females have, because you know there are men that have it as well, but predominantly it's a female trait that
I see
you feel like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I see it all the time, especially in my restaurants. You know, at one point I had 150 people or so working for me, and it was always the men that were, you know, always asking for the promotion, always asking for a pay rise, etc.
Yeah.
And my females never said anything, never asked for anything, and yet so much more
Talented.
highly skilled and talented and worked harder, never showed up late, etc. And you know what I thought was interesting? So I gave the commencement speech at Columbia University for the graduating class of 2018 last year, and I was talking to the dean of the engineering school there, and Dean Boyce. And obviously, in my speech, you can find it on YouTube, I was talking about Me Too and women and asking for what you want.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have a tendency not to do that, because we're just so much more thoughtful. And Dean Boyce, at the end of my speech, we're walking back to one of the buildings, and she said, and she's the first female engineering dean ever. And she's been there for a number of years, but she said that year was the first year that she's seeing, well, they're recruiting for staff, so they're recruiting for faculty. So, you know, this is one of the best universities in the world, right? And they're recruiting for staff. So these are the best and the brightest applying to be professors there at Columbia University, right?
Yeah.
But she said it's the first year in 2018 that she's seeing the women that are applying negotiate their salaries.
Interesting.
The first year that she's seeing.
And that was 2018.
2018, yeah. So it's kind of incredible that even at the top of your game, at the top of academia, at one of the top universities, and these are the smartest brains in the world, arguably, applying for one of the best positions in in the greatest, you know, places to study and teach. Even there, women aren't, you know, are not negotiating salaries, negotiating, you know, terms and conditions around employment, etc. So I just, you know, I'm like, what's wrong with us? But I talk about this in my speech.
I need to watch that. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's tricky. Like, I went to a talk as well, and the speaker was basically trying to instill in confidence to do exactly what you said, like ask for things, and like why do we feel so uncomfortable with like negotiating. And, you know, she kind of said to a room full of maybe 150 of us, how many people here have negotiated on one of their salaries? And it was maybe 5% of the room.
Gosh.
And I said, okay, how many of you negotiated on your first ever salary? And it was like, no one. And that was a room full of females. So I don't know what it is that we feel like, well, I probably do know what it is. Like, then it's got, oh, who does she think she is? Like, asking, she thinks she deserves all of this?
Yeah.
And it's that fear of, I don't know, being judged on that probably stops us from doing it. Because there was another study in Lean In that basically said that there was 2 CVs, and I can't remember, but they're basically identical CVs. All they did was change their name. And they gave them to focus groups. So say it's like Jill and Jack, exactly the same CV. And the focus group deemed that Jack's CV was, you know, a real leader, very ambitious, someone that you get behind, could corral a team. And, you know, the female CV, which is exactly the same, they said like, ooh, she sounds a bit like, you know, would stamp on others to get where she needs to be. She sounds too ambitious, like it's a negative thing. You know, with a man it's ambitious, it's like, oh, okay, like he's doing well for himself, he's like, you know, climbing the ranks. For a female, it's like, oh, she doesn't care about anyone else.
She's bitchy.
Like, she's bitchy, she, you know, this, that, and the other. She doesn't care, she's in it for herself.
Absolutely.
And, like, that's just shocking.
It is, yeah.
Like,
but,
But,
you know, we are still thriving and doing extremely well, you know, despite it all, you know, look at you and your business, and so all of these obstacles are surmountable, and it's getting better every single day.
It is getting better, definitely.
And, you know, especially with the Me Too movement, everything, and
maybe one day we won't need to have an International Women's Day.
Exactly. and it's through women like you who are these entrepreneurs and you know, doing it, and you know, minorities, etc., and making yourself visible that paves the way for the next generation. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one question which I found the hardest question, I can't remember who asked on Instagram, which I feel like it's relevant now. If you could give one piece of advice to your former self, what would it be?
One piece of advice to my former self. I doesn't mean
to 16-year-old Judy.
Gosh, to 16. It depends what age. You know what I mean? The more insecure you are, the more bullshit you deal with.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? And as I become more mature and more secure, etc., I just don't have the time. You know? And I don't have the energy, and even people, you know, like negative people or people who are toxic or people who suck the energy out of me, like, or I don't want to work with anybody like that either. Yeah. Let alone be friends with somebody like that. You know? Yeah. And I only want to surround myself by people who bring out the best in me. Yeah. You know? And that includes people. And when I say that, also, I also don't want to. I don't want the people around me to turn into somebody that I don't want to be. Yeah, you know? That's a really good point. You know, so like, you know, maybe when I was younger, whatever, like you bitch about, you know, so and so or whatever. Like now, I wouldn't even associate with that person because she makes me talk badly or feel badly. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to engage in gossip. Me become someone I'm not. I don't want to be. Exactly. I don't want to talk badly about somebody. I don't want to be stressed out by somebody. I don't want to feel that somebody is letting me down. Yeah. You know? So I only want to surround myself by people who bring out the best in me and make me a better person, ultimately. And who I learn from and who support me and I support them and I love them back. And so... And that's a hard, that sounds so easy on paper, but that's a hard lesson. Like you think about high school and you think about like wanting to make friends and fitting in. And like I think about, you know, when I was younger and like feeling insecure and wanting everyone to like you, and like that is so tough. And it's only when you become confident in yourself that you can be like, well, actually, no, I don't need to like put up with that, or I don't need that negativity in my life. I don't like the way that person makes me feel. Yeah. You know, and so therefore, like if that person like does like a bit of an underhanded insult or like passively aggressively treats you in the wrong way, or you know, then I'm just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with you. Thank you, but no thank you. I like that. So that's probably the advice I would give myself when I was younger, but I think that's something that you grow into. I agree. I think mine would be along a similar vein. Like I think I would say don't take everything to heart and learn your boundaries early on, and like learn how to say no and push back, and that your time and space is valuable. Which again is something, to your point, that I just think you naturally grow into as you get older and more confident and sure of yourself. But I think when I was young, I was just kind of so eager to please, and you want to be popular. Yeah, you want to be the popular kid in school. And like it's you know. It's just not. It's hard. High school's hard. High school's hard. I was not popular in high school. I wasn't unpopular, but I was not popular. I was gay. I was a total nerd. I was a total freaking nerd. But you know what? Nerds and geeks. Actually, now the word is neeks. I think there's like I don't know. Are cool now. Like, exactly. Yeah, it's good to wear like my like nerd badge on my sleeve. School. All right. So now we're gonna do a little bit of junk fooding. I mean, you're not keen on these, are you? No, I just want try snacks, and First of all, it looks like dried up ziti, baked ziti, like with spaghetti sauce on it. But then you try it, and it's like sweet. Oh, it's like coated in sugar. I want it to be spicy. It tastes nothing like cookie. It tastes nothing like duck cookie. Like this is actually false advertising, right? Like I want. It's like sugar crisps. It's like sugar. It's like so sweet. There's like no spice in it, so. Actually, I really wanted them to be spicy. I know. So, you know, but instant ramen noodles. Oh. Love. Which one's your favorite one? I like the, what's the yellow pack one? The yellow pack one? Yeah, like Jin ramen. Shin ramyeon? No, I do like Shin ramyeon as well. Yeah. I think it's like the Ottogi brand, maybe? Ottogi. Oh, okay. Ottogi's yellow. Yeah, I like that one. Have you had Shin ramyeon? Have you had japuguri? Have you combine the noguri udon with the japaghetti? No? So, do you want to explain what japaghetti is? So japaghetti is two words put together, two different instant noodles. So it's noguri udon, which is a seafood spicy instant noodle, and then there's japaghetti, which is basically jjajangmyeon, but they made it like spaghetti and jjajangmyeon, so japaghetti. I haven't had japaghetti since I was probably in college, and we just like mixed a bunch of stuff together. But I think we also put in Sapporo Ichiban in there as well. And we just like would mix all the instant noodles together. But in Parasite, the movie, they make japaguri, which is japaghetti mixed with noguri udon, and they mix it all together. But I made it from scratch this past week. Ooh. Yeah, which was so good, I have to say. Really? Yeah, real seafood. I made a really deep, rich seafood broth with like you know, clams and
okay.
shrimp heads, and it was divine. It was so good. And
I feel like this is a japaguri that the parks would have loved.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and then I got like really nice sirloin steak, which I grilled and I cut it up and I threw it all on top.
Oh, okay.
It was quite.
Yeah,
quite
you didn't do the
and squid,
the
and
basic.
clams, and I got the you know, so I made the jjajangmyeon, and then I made kind of this like big seafood stock thing, and then I mixed it. The only thing instant that I used was the nuguri udon noodles. So just the noodles, because I wanted 2 different kinds of noodles in there.
Yeah.
And then I used like the fresh jjajangmyeon noodles. I mixed that together, so you had 2 different textures of noodles.
Wow.
With like the black bean sauce, which I put in, you know, with the seafoods. I thought it was like weird, like what, seafood and beef, you know, but actually it was so good.
Surf and turf.
It was so good. I used shrimps and squid and clams and then sirloin steak on top. And then I put a bunch of vegetables like potatoes, onions, and zucchini.
Oh wow! I like similar to like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Really good. Really good. And then served my homemade kimchi on the side, as well as pickled radish.
This kimchi is so good. Like I had some pepper and I like keep going back to the kimchi. Like I will get my fix of the kimchi.
Nice.
What would you say is like your favorite Korean food then? If you, I know that's really.
Oh yeah, that was one of the questions. My favorite Korean food. I am obsessed with tofu, and my favorite dish, and to the point like where my friends in Korea tease me because whenever I land, I have to go for sundubu jjigae.
I was about to say
sundubu jjigae, like sundubu is a silken tofu stew basically, and it's with seafood usually or kimchi, and they pimp it out in all different ways. But I usually get it like extra spicy.
Ooh,
and you crack like a raw egg in it, and it's boiling. It comes like this big cauldron bubbling to you. It's so good, and I get it like extra spicy. And with seafood and kimchi, it is.
Sundubu jjigae is really good.
So good.
It's like
and
comfort food.
It is, and if it's like with good tofu, it is divine. Actually, on the U.S. version of my book, there's a picture of sundubu jjigae on the cover because it's like my favorite thing to eat. Always, yeah. I love it. It's so good. And you? What's your favorite Korean dish? But I also like some of the like street food things too. Like I love like the red bean filled like donuts and like
hot dog.
Yeah. Oh no, like mukbang. You know, like the fish shaped ones.
Yeah.
And things like that. So
they're really good. Yeah,
they're really tasty. I love red bean too.
I like something that probably a lot of people wouldn't consider their favorite food, and Steve doesn't actually really like it. Kalguksu.
Oh, I love kalguksu.
I love kalguksu.
Why does he not like it?
It's like it's so bland.
Really? Oh, he hasn't had a really good one.
I love the broth, and I love the like, especially when it's like homemade and like you can like actually see the ajima like
So
cutting up the
kalguksu
noodles.
literally means knife cut noodles,
Yeah.
right? And so kal is a knife, and then guksu is just like soup, right? So like knife cut noodles, and there's always a deep anchovy broth with it, which is quite clear, and usually zucchini in it, and
sometimes carrots
and stuff like that. But it is so nice, and
for
the
me, it's
noodles,
perfect.
it is so good.
Yeah, and then you know what I found out?
What?
That so you know how like bibimbap is like Jeonju's dish. Kalguksu is Daejeon's dish. And I was born in Daejeon.
Oh my god!
I was like, it's a sign.
It is a sign. It is a sign.
It's in my blood to like
it.
I love it. It's
I
like
love it.
my comfort food. Like I love kalguksu.
We're gonna make it.
It's
It's so easy. It's
Really?
so easy to make.
I cheat. I just buy the like.
No. You just make the noodles. It's so okay. I'm gonna show her how to make the noodle. I'm like,
you're like no.
Yeah.
You need to make this from scratch.
And then we'll make a really deep. We'll see who's had it in Korea. He doesn't like it in Korea.
He likes it in Korea. I think we've had it here a few times because I get such cravings for kalguksu. He's like, oh, it's just really bland. Like he ends up like seasoning it so much because he was like, oh,
yeah, we'll make like a really rich stock.
Oh yeah. I just
pimp
love
it out with
it.
some like
And like kalguksu, and then with like this kimchi would just be
amazing.
like that would be. If I was dying, that would be my final meal.
Oh, I love that.
Well, we're probably gonna finish this makgeolli
Yes.
and continue eating our
like
pepper. But I hope you guys enjoyed our first mukbang.
And if you have questions for our next one, please send them in. Just direct message either of us, and we'll do another mukbang for you guys next time.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.